Hi, welcome to Tequila in Your Tea. I am super excited to be here. First real episode, in my opinion, just because I took some time to tell you about the podcast. It's just not the same as what we're going to be doing today. I'm actually just really happy to be doing this with two of the best girls that I know. I have really gotten to...
I was going to say, don't act like you don't know us.
Know them over the past
These
few
lovely
years.
ladies over here who I just met.
No, like a complete strangers, my bad, sorry. But yeah, no, I first am going to introduce the lovely Julia Pratt.
Yeah.
Not just sweet, not just kind, not just cute, but she's also an amazing singer-songwriter. She is someone who has sorry, this is gonna be consistent. We're gonna absolutely lose our minds here. But she's someone who's like, music has impacted a lot of people. All you have to do is check Odyssey and then look at the number of views. You already know. But she's just fantastic, and she's also one of the most like humble people in the world, so like to have her here is great, because as great as she is, like, she swears she's just normal like the rest of us. False.
I am
false.
Call me Peter Parker.
But
Petey
yeah,
Parker.
no, so I definitely want to make sure that you check her out. If you don't know her music, you will know her music. You just either gonna know now or you're gonna be late to the party. But
Don't be
definitely check out Julia Pratt. And can I tell you how crazy it is to have two really great friends that are both singer-songwriters? Because that's Lyndä over here right now. Oh, I'm sorry.
Lyndä official underscore.
Exactly.
Not the whole government.
Exactly.
It is government.
We're both top fans here. This is how this goes. But Lyndä has not only written some of my favorite songs, but she's sang some of my favorite songs, some unreleased still. Looking at you. But Lyndä official, you're believe me, you're gonna turn the music on and be like, oh, so I'm in my sweet spot. It's probably like all of the theme music for Tequila in Your Tea. It's just chill, like in the couch, sipping something with just a little bit of a spark to it. So
I've been feeling those since Tuesday.
Yeah, no, just
yeah.
Oh my god, today's Tuesday.
It is.
I've been feeling those since Tuesday.
So
it's Valentine's Day, Veena.
It is Valentine's Day.
Shameless plug.
It really is.
Bro, it's my favorite holiday.
Oh, this is backwards.
Yeah, I'm also sad because it is your favorite holiday, and I did not decorate. I did not like.
But you're
try
the
to
decoration.
Do the things.
Can we be
shoe
cam?
A little bit of
We're giving you like Wendy Williams shoe cam right now.
No free feet pics. No.
Not free.
Real talk. But yeah, just a little bit of the Valentine's Day love here. One, because I think the topic calls for it. Like, just all right. So I don't think you can talk about love without talking about like your first love. And every girl's first love. Yeah, that too. But every girl's like first love is their father. And of course, like, it's not in that, Oedipus complex kind of way. All right. I mean, legitimately, like, when you are a child, you put the people who call themselves parents on a pedestal, whether they deserve it or not. You look at them with a halo. They are literally the person that you're like, I depend on you for everything. My entire world is complete with you here. So yeah, and then you get traumas from those people. And then you find yourself.
And then they traumatize you.
And then
here we are.
So, yeah, if you haven't caught on yet, today's episode is called Daddy Issues.
Diddy.
Each of us with very different dads in very different ways, but all of us traumatized as hell. So, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Talk about just like what it's like living that way. Not because it's new news, but there's so many of us that live that way. So we might as well like get it out there in the open, just in case any of you people think about being daddies in the future. Maybe you'll pay attention so you don't do this.
Use my protection.
We went totally different routes with that one. I'm like, wrap it up, and you're like, be my daddy.
Well, one thing I do have to discuss before we get any further. I don't know if you'll ever see me with headphones on ever again. I really, really hate it. But we have to have them on today because one thing you will know by the time all of this is done is that Lyndä, official over here, is not only a great singer, but she's also an amazing video editor and producer. So
multi-ethnic,
she is our lead digital video producer and editor on this project. So
cheers.
It's definitely a dual effort. If you don't see her around anymore, know that she is here. I'm not doing this without her.
James Bond.
She lives in the shadows.
All right. So now that we have been our silliest, we're going to prepare to cry now.
We got our tea. We got our tea. It's piping hot.
Not intentionally, but like I feel it.
I wore mascara today, so this is going to be super dramatic.
Fun. Love that. I love that for us.
Didn't even really think about it. I was like, I'm so excited. I'm going to be on this podcast with Veena. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
And
then...
It's okay.
All right, so let's start with like memory lane, okay? Because
take me down.
Take me down. I'm sorry.
I think each of us at this point, like as far as relationships with our fathers, like we can talk about our now relationships, maybe kind of sort of if they exist, but it starts with like childhood. So I guess yeah. Everyone's got their tea. Let's do the thing. As far as now, you're an adult, you're grown. Do you think that you have a relationship with your father right now? Do you feel like you would talk to him? Do you like call him? Just getting the facts out there first. Like, where are we now?
Where are you now that I need you? Anyways.
Do you want to start? I can start.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, me and my father do not have a relationship.
Okay.
I not from lack of trying, though. I joined therapy. We love therapy gang.
Amen.
And one of the main things is I wanted to work on all my relationships, like 1v1 with every person in my family. And basically one of them was my father. So I reached out to him. We had a 2.5 hour long conversation. And all he wanted to do was talk about my mom, talk about how, she's taking her kids away, like the old stuff, like the past stuff. Right. And I said, you know what? I think I need a little bit more time. I was still open, mind you. And he pretty much like didn't respect my boundaries. So I was like, listen, I can't roll with this. So power to him, but no relationship at the moment. So.
Yeah, I'd say I have kind of a relationship with him.
I mean, you got off the phone with him earlier today, so.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where like I don't call him ever. Like I don't reach out to him, and he doesn't know anything about my life. He asks me the same questions every time, but like he never remembers my answers. So, like we it's like a first date over and over and over again where someone's like asking you the basics.
And then you gotta get the bill.
And then I have to pay the bill, and then he's just like, oh,
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I gotta go get a pack of cigarettes at the store.
Literally.
Yeah, I think I talk to him probably like once every couple months. He'll call me out of the blue when he needs something, even if there's
some cash, got that strapped cash.
I mean, honestly, not even financially. It's just like he'll need to like talk to someone because he's like so isolated.
So emotional cash.
Emotional cash, exactly. And there's no.
You're just an ATM.
I am
of
an
emotions.
ATM. Call me Wells Fargo.
How far I go, like, dude.
Ain't no telling how far I'll go. Anyways, yeah. So there's something, but we are not close at all.
Funny enough, I think my relationship with my dad is closer to yours, where I'm open, but mine showing up to therapy, mine actually wanting to talk about the past or the future or anything, not happening.
Oh no, mine didn't show up to therapy.
Oh, you went to therapy.
I went to therapy.
Oh, okay.
That was a personal
we met up at a place after I felt like I was mentally stable to hold the conversation.
Okay.
But I had to like record. I have it on my phone. I audio recorded the whole thing because he's notorious for gaslighting, and I just needed to be able to backtrack.
You caught him in 4K.
Nah, 8K, bro. 8K. And I needed to just I needed to make sure I was hearing what I was hearing and wasn't just like trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, I need to hear it how it comes out of his mouth. So I got that thing locked and loaded.
As you should, honestly.
Yeah. Like I hear that. Like, woo, that's actually scarier. Because I think if I had to replay back some of the things that my dad has said to me, bro.
Yeah.
Getting up. What?
It's just constantly being re-triggered by the same things over and over.
And over. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm more like Julia. Like, if the phone rings, I pick it up. I say hi, hello. But less of the emotional exchange. That's actually like a non-thing for him.
Would you say it's more like, what do you want? Like, what do you want from me kind of call?
No,
or like,
not even at all.
Okay.
I find my father to be a very closed off person. And so his game is very much like, cool, let me call, check in, 20 minutes. Do you have a job? Do you have a man? Do you have like a roof over your head? Great. Did you check out sports? Great. Oh, I ordered this great weather that we're having. Great. That's enough. Bye. Like, very, very simple. He likes to know that he's done his job for the day.
Oh, so it's like for him, he needs that to like confirm that he's doing his dad duties almost.
Correct. At least that's how it feels. There is definitely an understanding through many moments growing up in my life that my main reason to exist for him was to make him look good. And that is it. So when I am at my peak, when I look great, he wants to
be a part of that. Yeah.
Correct. But he is not here for the emotional work. He is not here for like an actual relationship. Other than the spark notes, he knows very little about my life. And that conversation kind of came up recently to like, for like everybody else who doesn't know, I just recently got married, like within the last few months.
She put
that
a
rock
ring
on my
it.
finger, you know what I'm saying?
But all that being said though, we eloped. We had like a really small thing, and my dad apparently was not happy that he wasn't invited. And then of course I was just like, to clear things up, there was no party, so there was nothing for you to show up and show off.
Right. That part.
It was an elopement. No one was there really, just us, of course, and my brother. So apparently, you know, there was some talk about like, oh well, he was there, why wasn't I there? We still have to flesh this out a little bit, but from the text messages I have so far, it's very much like well sir, as far as I know, if it's not something you can show up and show off, you don't actually want to be there. Like per, you know, every other record in my life too. Yeah, no, you haven't been here. Like for the last 5 years of our relationship where we've been dating, I've physically seen you twice and for less than an hour or two each time. And then I have phone records that say you call me once every 3 to 6 months. You weren't there for like the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads. So
right,
why would I have you there for us to just say vows? Like,
you know, I think it's like there's this entitlement piece that comes with it, because my dad does this kind of stuff too, where it's like he would say when I was a kid, like whenever we get into an argument or whatever, he'd be like, if it wasn't for me, like you wouldn't be here, or like, you know, I gave you the food that's on your plate. And honestly, that wasn't true because that was my mom as the breadwinner. But anyways, he would take responsibility for that. And I'm sitting here like, I never asked you for this. Like, you and my mother made a decision to have a child. And when you made that decision comes with responsibilities.
Facts.
And that's not just to show up when things are going great and like to, you know, be a part of that happy picture at the recital or whatever. Like, that's to be there when I fail a test, or when I break my leg, or when I'm sick, or when I'm heartbroken. Like, that's what I think you sign up for when you become a parent. And so then to show up and be like, or to call you and be like, oh, like you didn't invite me to this milestone. What about all the things between the milestones? Like, life is in the grocery store trips and in the watching TV at night. Like, you.
That's for us though. That's how we see it.
Yeah.
And part of me does think it's a slight generational thing, but there's other pieces to my dad's story which I give him a full pass.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like actually living. It's the day-to-day living. Are we doing this thing together? And that's kind of part of the reason why, like, it's easy to disassociate, because like, as we've mentioned this before, your father is African American or black and he wasn't present.
Yeah.
Your father was white and he wasn't present. Mine was in the house.
Mine was in the house too.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. But like
Up until I was like,
shortly in the house.
yeah.
yeah.
Very shortly
And
though.
go ahead. You said up until when?
Up until I was 15, like until like a few months after my parents got divorced and he just booted. Like, so that's
Okay.
why it was so jarring. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's like, you know, grew up with this dude and then
And-
you're just gone.
No, that's my piece where like he was there until I was 18, 19. I think it was just right around 19. And the problem was he was there physically.
Yeah, that part. Exactly.
That was
not in any other way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like he wasn't actually there emotionally or any of the things that I was into. He was very much like either meh, I don't care, or good, great, I'm still not going. And so there's this idea that like abandonment is only when like they physically disappear, but there's emotional abandonment
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And it's just like, all right, cool. How do you get through being around someone that's literally telling you anything that you're doing, anything you're invested in, anything that you care about is so not important to them?
Right.
Mhm.
Like, oh, okay, am I tripping? Am I really like focused on things that are absolutely pointless? Oh, okay. It's an interesting feeling. So, all right. So now we before we go too deep, I know that we've talked about like where we kind of sit. I'm curious before we start ragging on them.
We ain't trying to rag, you know, we're just trying to tell facts.
I know, but like what were some of your fondest memories? I think each of us, unless he really wasn't there from day one, have at least one memory that you're like, oh, I really enjoyed that time with them. And either because it was like, oh, well, they were trying, or it was like, oh, this is what made me, I guess, hold on longer than I should have, because it's a good memory. And we do this in life, like where someone shows like a really nice time or a really nice part of themselves, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, but that's not you on a regular though.
Right.
Or this is the part that you hide, so I don't get to enjoy this part of you. But there's a memory there. Maybe you were 2 years old, maybe you were 5 years old, or maybe you were 15. But I'm curious to what good aspects you saw out of your fathers that, I don't know, made you like want to at least try or leave the door open in general.
I feel like there are no moments that he did that makes me leave this door open. It's literally Jesus himself. I'm like, reconcile, come to Jesus
like,
moment.
I sign up for this suffering. Like,
yeah,
okay.
no, I'm for real. But when I think back, like, so it was a little messy. He was there in the beginning, and then they got separated, divorced, and he came back again. Whoosh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I was like 9, 10, 11, like those couple years, and then left again. So like it was just kind of like in and out the door. But I have this memory the second time he came back around, and we were in the car. Homeboy didn't have his license. It was dangerous. It was fine. But I remember that was the first time my mom really didn't introduce me to like a lot of music that wasn't like Christian music. So he was my first introduction to like all these other kinds of music. And I remember like he pretty much put me on to all the things that inspire me as an artist today. So unfortunate that it was him, but otherwise I would have never known. And I remember we'd be in his car. He would give me some candy, never real food. He would just give me some candy or something, hold me over. But I remember we listened to Empire State of Mind, and I can rap that whole verse. But I get flashback to being in the car and we're driving, and I'm like listening to it and it was fun. It was cool. I was like 10. I was like, in Philly, in New York, you know. But yeah, that's one memory I think about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, like, he's a human being.
Yeah.
Adjacent.
Adjacent. Heavy on the adjacent
The
part.
adjacent.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same for me. I was thinking about this, and I don't really think I have like a memory that sticks out. I have to say, honestly, my dad did a lot of things. He was around, so like we did a lot of things together, but I think that the only positive memories I have were when he was like intoxicated in some form. Because he would either go like really like not great, or he'd be like a moment of I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? So like that's
He's
kind
up.
of when he was up on that. So I do think that kind of similar to what you said, like my dad was like a big music literature person, and so like he would play a lot of music around the house and stuff, and it was always laced with like condescension of like, oh, like you weren't born knowing who BB King is, but like, you know, now I know who BB King is, so it's like, cool, thanks dad. And like, you know, when he'd like drill me on reading Shakespeare at like,
thanks dad,
literally thanks dad, at like 5 years old, and be like, how do you not get the cadence of this? I'm 5. But now, you know, I write songs, and I can't help but think that like that's a part of why I'm good at what I do. And I resent that a little bit, but I also can't really take that away from him.
Right.
So it's complex. But I do think maybe one, it's not really a memory. It's like what is a memory? Very hazy though. I got sick when I was like 6. I hit my knee on the playground, went to the doctor, found out I had tumors in both of my knees.
Bro.
Yeah, and there was like maybe like a couple month period where like we didn't know if it was cancerous, and so like my parents were like freaking out, and my dad like showed concern. Like when he thought I was gonna die, he was like, I'm there, I'm gonna make you breakfast,
Girl.
I love you. And then it's
you
like,
didn't
oh,
die, and he was like, well,
yeah,
you.
f- you, you're fine. Now you have to make me breakfast every day to make up for that shit I did for you. Anyways, that's my tangent.
The level of trauma that was in that statement right now. Okay. So like, all right. So first, notes to all the fathers out there: you are going to dictate the musical interests of your daughter. So, be on it. Okay. Make sure you pick the good stuff.
Know your
all right?
stuff.
I can admit, like, most of my best musical memories involve my father.
Yeah,
He was the
it's
person
crazy.
that played like WJJZ, smooth jazz on every car ride home.
jazz.
Exactly. He was the person to introduce me to the Whispers, the Platters, the Shy Lights, and the Temptations, and Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yo,
Earth, Wind,
what
and
is
Fire,
it with
top
shitty
band.
men and great music taste? Like, why do
Maybe
those
that's how
two-
they got laid back in the day, because I really just still don't understand how
I don't
my
know anything
mother
about
was
that.
attracted to that.
Yeah.
But then, you know, he's smiling and he has all the best music. Like,
We the
maybe
best
that's
music.
it.
Anyway, sorry.
So and that's probably copyright, so chill.
Sorry, DJ.
I know. We love you, DJ.
Do we?
Not
Yes.
really.
Never mind.
I mean, yes,
we
we
do.
love you, DJ.
Sorry, we love
you so
DJ.
much. Please don't copyright claim this.
Oh God. But yeah, no, like I can definitely get on like the whole music memories thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the side of my father that made me feel like he had emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Because
Not you
That's
having,
deep.
I'm having revelations over here.
Mhm.
I mean, like, because my dad had two emotions. The music brought the nuance. The two emotions were either super hype and happy or literally violent. So there was one of those two. And
Violence.
so the music brought nuance because he would jam to music. He had this openness, this freeness about like if his song was on, he was getting up. He was going to groove. He wasn't necessarily going to break out into like all of the dance steps, but you was going to get the vibe that he was into the song. He knew every lyric. He would turn it up. The way I would wake up on Saturday mornings to having these massive speakers in the living room, front room, middle room, all of the rooms back, playing music at 8 a.m. And it was always the classics. Like, it was such a memory for me of like, oh, this is how life should be.
Yeah.
I do think it formed my connection with music. And so it was really disturbing to me when I was obsessed with music and obsessed with dancing, and I connected to music so much that he was like, but dance is not for you. Like, you're not allowed to dance. It cannot be a like I don't even want it a hobby because it's a distraction. Like this, no. Like, he
distraction
showed up
from
to
what?
one recital in my life and never ever get any other performances. And it's from making money. My father and money, those two equate. The conversation isn't a good conversation unless it's about money. Time is money. He used to say this phrase my mother hated: life's a hustle till you die. It's all about the dollar. And when it comes
lived by
down
that.
to it, he still does, in my opinion. Even though, like, I haven't been close enough to really assess, because there comes a spot where you're like, I'm grown. My definition of life needs to expand beyond what his was. So it's okay. I had a good 18 years of absorbing that. I'll be in another room now. At the same time, it's like, okay, this is why I'm always concerned with finances. Like, it's an actual trigger for me. It took a good 2 years before I stopped crying when my husband and I would talk about finances, and it was not anything truly attached to it. It was literally, it's dipping into the well of all of the trigger traumas that dealt with money. And so it's just I'm so sorry, please ignore my tears, keep talking, we're gonna get through this, and I will get to the end of this budget.
It's the well.
But yeah, no, it's a serious thing of like having those connected triggers that make no sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can say that money was that for me.
But they make a lot of sense. Actually.
I mean, yes, but in the moment, like, I'm talking to a random person about finances or school, and I just start bawling. Like,
you see, you're
like, are you all right?
Can I get some laundry quarters? You're like, oh my God, they're over there.
Yes. Like, it was bad for a while. So
but that's on growth,
we're
though.
better now. Yeah, it is. It is in growth. But this is why I'm always proud of you for really, like, putting therapy at, like, a forefront early in age, because, like, I'm just trying to start catching up to this, and I just dealt with all of that myself, and it wasn't the easiest way to do it. A lot of us do. I just wouldn't say it's the best. So how do you think, or in what ways do you know now the relationship that you had with your father growing up is currently impacting your life? I mean,
do we have all day?
Girl.
I know I'm saying this tentatively here. We're not going to go through all of it.
No.
But
some, like, key examples, you mean?
Yes. I will not drag you through the dirt of what it was like for you maybe in the last 5 years, okay? But how is it?
Like, literally, we can narrow it down probably for all of us to, like, this month.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah,
but
because there's a lot.
Go ahead. Like, how is it currently impacting you, and you know it? Like, you know, like, oh, this is because of the relationship with my father, and I need to take a step back and, like, reevaluate this from a fresh pair of eyes and not my traumatized eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I literally just went back to therapy, like, last week after a little break, because I just noticed so much was coming up, and I knew it was because of my dad. I think the biggest thing is, like, my dad, for all of his many issues, is, like, he's the smartest person I've ever met. He's, like, book smart. He spent his whole life, he's an academic, reading, writing. He, like, knows everything about everything, and, you know, he makes sure that everybody knows that he knows everything about everything, and he knows more than them. And I think growing up in a lot of ways, like, that pushed me to, like, learn a lot, and so I'm grateful for that. However, I've noticed over the past couple of years, but it's really come out in the past few months, like, this complex I have where I feel like I need to know everything, and if I don't, I'm a literal piece of shit. Like, that I can't accept that, like, I don't know everything. And I mean, you guys know me, like, I show up and, like, I know I don't know everything. It's not even that, it's the shame around not knowing everything. It's like someone will show me something that I've never heard of, and instead of being, like, genuinely, like, just excited to learn about it, internally I'm like, oh my God, I should just go fucking jump off this bridge. Like, I didn't know this. And like, I'm so embarrassed that I don't know this. Yeah. And it really, like, takes the joy out of life. And I've started noticing it recently because, like, you know, I'm in an industry where I don't know shit about shit, and I need to learn it. And it just, like, life is about learning things. And when learning is attached to shame in the way that it is for me, it just, like, it makes me not want to live. And so I was like, I need to go back to therapy, but I know it's because of my dad, because there's no other figure in my life. Like, my mom is also incredibly smart. She never makes me feel that way. And she's never told me that any of those things that my dad used to tell me. And I think that when you're young, and, like, as you said earlier in the episode, like, we pick up things from our parents, we put them on a pedestal. And so growing up, it's like I admired my dad's intelligence, but I couldn't separate, like, his intelligence from, like, my worth. those two things were always tied. And it meant that because he was smart, I was stupid. Because he knew more, I knew nothing. And because he knew more, I was unworthy.
But do you feel like part of that is because he was addressing you as an adult?
Yes. Oh, no.
Versus like actually like for example, it's rare that someone is trying to actually make you feel stupid. It's just that probably in his adult life, the only way that he feels confident in his space is if he does make another adult feel stupid. But if he was constantly addressing you as an adult,
I mean, I was never allowed to be a child. That's another thing, because I think in a lot of ways my dad grew up like dirt poor, and he literally ran away to Mexico when he was like 15 or 16. Like, he had a really tough life, and his dad passed when he was 12. It was a whole, like, there's so much stuff that I don't even know because he's secretive. But he is one of those people who probably shouldn't be a parent, because instead of looking at himself like, I didn't get to be a child, so I want my children to be children, he looked at me and my sister as, I didn't get to be a child, so these two girls, and he's also misogynistic kind of these two girls, like, they don't get to be children either, because I suffered, you suffer.
Yeah.
And the one thing, as you said, that he can lord over people is he knows more than the average person, and he weaponizes knowledge. And I think that is really, it's a painful thing, and it's a deep wound of mine. And, you know, I grew up chasing academic validation because it was like, that was the only way that I could prove that I was worth something. And so, like, straight A student, did this, did that. The moment that I fell off a little bit, it was like my whole life crumbled around me. Literally deciding to go to music school, my whole life crumbled around me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
No, I get that actually a lot. My dad did a very similar thing. I don't think he shamed me anywhere as harsh as yours did, but academics were the thing because academics equaled money. So, yeah, for me it was less like a shaming game and more just like calling me out of my name if I did not meet a certain academic standard to him. And I think it wasn't until 6 or 7 years ago, I was seeing somebody who was calling me out of my name. And I was just like, bro, why doesn't that piss me off that much? And I had to like become aware. I was like, oh, actually my father was the first person to call me out of my name. Specifically, like, to call me a stupid bee or things like that when he was upset with me.
No, you'd be on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
But just that's what I'm saying. We're just like, it's completely different when you have a stranger call you outside of your name. It's like, bro,
Yeah, it's like,
don't
you, whatever.
know me.
But your father,
F you.
it hurts.
It's different.
It does.
It's not even just so much that it hurts, but there's a part of you that accepts it because that
Yeah.
person knew you for so long. Oh wow, I really must be a problem.
Their words are, they carry so much weight, and that's what I feel like they don't understand, especially with like a father-daughter thing. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you model later in life relationships off of your relationship with your father. And I don't think that my dad ever stopped to think like, oh, like, you know, I'm threatening to hit my kid. How is she going to respond to that when she's in her first relationship? And instead it comes out as you're more primed for abusive relationships. And then I had to learn that the hard way and deal with that on my own, because he had the ability to just zoot off and do whatever he wanted.
Yeah. I feel like, honestly, the core is that fathers are just not ready to be fathers when they become fathers.
Yes.
Or they don't actually want kids when they have them. Or they
Would you
think
say
it'll be one way.
or our fathers?
No, I'm talking about, I just think society in general.
Okay.
Like, I think I'm making a generalized statement.
Let's do it.
Generalize.
But, like, I don't feel like society actually prepares you for the weight that being a father and mother is, because people are just like, kids, cute, they're adorable, they're this, they're that.
To the
They're-
family.
Yes, they're all these things, but it's like they are a person first.
And they're not you.
And they're not yours, actually.
No.
Like, especially, I don't know all y'all Christians out there, but it's like, I view it like God loans you your kids. He gifts you your kids, and then you're going to go smack them around
And hold you responsible.
and hold you responsible.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't even get into all that because that's not the point of the topic. But I'm just like, if I'm alone, this is how you choose to act like towards me. Like, nah, bump all that. But I don't ever judge somebody if they're like, I don't want kids, or because a lot of times I feel like I don't want kids, not because I don't like kids, but I don't want that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in the best place in my life to have this. I know the actual weight.
And
I'm not going to subject all of my stuff to this person, this now human being that exists.
Is it literally one of the primary reasons?
Yeah,
like,
that
because
you
y'all
don't
know
get- yeah.
that like we are child free. We plan to stay that way.
Yeah.
There's only one other couple in our lives that are child free, and we can see now that they are in their 50s, 60s, 70s kind of vibes that it was the better for them. And they still kind of adopted people into their family when they needed to, and they let people stay with them and kind of helped give some of that parental guidance when necessary. But even staying with them, it wasn't like easy.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't. But at the same time, I think when I got older, I became aware that I don't want to pass on my traumas to anybody.
That part.
And knowing that I'm not going to be past this before your childbearing years, it's not going to happen. And if I do change my mind and want kids, like I get past it enough to be fine, I will adopt.
There's a lot of kids that need homes.
Exactly.
You know what I
But
mean?
not just babies.
Not just
That's
babies.
another topic.
It is.
But also like mentorship is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
You know? Like I don't know how far into your discussion you're going to go, but like in my life right now, my biological father is not in my life, but I have someone who is a father figure in my life and pours into me. And he's not my biological father, but he is I dress him as my father.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah, so like you can still be
at
that.
This point. We're just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's her father.
That's my dad.
That's her father.
Yeah. And like even the other day he hit me up because he's like, so we didn't talk over Christmas. That's a problem. Holds me accountable where my own father, he remembered my 18th birthday because he didn't have to pay child support anymore. Like that.
Yeah.
That is the difference. So like there are people, there are people that want to be in your life, can be mentors, can whatever. But I never answered your initial question.
Which is fine. Like this is not
I was going to say
Simon
trusting men.
Says, but ding 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 ding.
Trusting men is
go
my
ahead,
issue.
go for it. Go.
Yeah, lay it on us. Lay it on us heavy.
So, I'm in a wonderful relationship. But
Love.
I feel Anthony. I feel like for me though, we have so many conversations, but I'm always just like talking to him and I'll be like, dang, I'm sorry. I realized I talk to you like this, or I treat you this way, or my headspace is like this because I'm so used to this. You know what I mean? And like my dad, he would say one thing, but he wouldn't show up. He would buy you all these extravagant gifts and all these things because he would buy your love. He didn't know how to actually love, so he'd buy your love.
I swear it's that generation, but go ahead.
It is. I think it is. But yeah, like just trusting people in general, but especially men, but trusting people in general is so hard for me because I'm just like, I need to have my stuff together at all times because if you walk out of my life, I need to still be okay. So there's always this wall. And I'm trying to like work on that because not everyone's out to just, get at you and like hate on you or hurt you, but like you open that door for them to hurt you. And I'm just like, I'm still working through it, honestly, to this day. And like I'm letting people in here and there, but like that is his legacy for me, is literally just like trust issues.
Yeah.
Major trust issues.
You're making leaps and bounds, though, I have to say. Like, I mean,
I love you.
I love you too. And
Don't
the work
embarrass
pays
me.
off. The work that he left you with is like work that you are tackling with lots of grace.
Thank you.
That says a lot because most people don't do that.
Sure.
No, that is a thing. Like we're actually sitting here and talking about it and like actually discussing like, oh, these are things we work through because we put in the work.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people walking around with trauma and baggage that they will never address. It will always be the other person's fault. It will always be their crutch in the space, or it'll always be their excuse for why they're going to do things. And it's one of those situations where like anyone who is in the space that we are at the different ages that we are to say like, no, it's not gonna run my life no more. Like, I'm going to be open enough to have these conversations and learn other things, because this is a shared trauma. Like, this is a very collective trauma for an entire generation, especially of kids in the United States.
But
like,
I think we're the generation that's trying to
1,000%.
break that.
Yeah.
It is true.
And it's like we carry all this weight to do that. So then there's some like us who are like, we're not going to be defined by what we were raised in or what we were not raised in or whatever. But then there's still a good percentage of us that's like, let me be bitter. Let me hold on to my anger.
Agreed.
I don't want, it's not fair for me to have to take all this on.
At the same time, though, it is about the emotional work and the fixing, because
Yeah.
I will, to my father's utmost credit, that's definitely what he did. He never knew his father. And this man is in his 60s now. He never knew him, never knew his name, never knew of him at all. His mother decided she didn't want to be a mom at some point while they were very, very young, and went MIA. He
went to
grown up
Miami?
in-
That's crazy.
No, but he did go to 2 different foster
child.
homes, and then he did end up in the military at 17, because it was the only other thing that he could figure out to do other than drag race and literally destroy his 18th car before his 18th birthday.
It's like, hey, you have trauma. How about you go and enlist in something to get additional PTSD and trauma, and then just like silence all of it.
PTSD. It's
all
so
of the
fun.
things. But then, no, as far as doing the work to get by that, doubt it, because I do think a good chunk for him was, I am here. I didn't leave.
So that was his step in the right direction.
I'm physically present.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, it's crazy. Like, every generation I feel like it's going to take a step.
Yeah.
And we feel the load to, like, fix all of it. But we might actually only take a step.
Yeah. Ours
Oh,
will
yeah.
be the emotional trauma,
Yeah.
where we're going to deal with the emotional baggage, but we're going to screw up.
For sure.
There's the next generation of children are going to say, like, well, this is something that you missed, or you gave me so much emotional freedom, or you talked to me so much on a regular basis that, like, I never knew when to put up the brakes with other people, so I got trampled over.
Dang,
like
man.
you
Can't
have
win.
no clue. But that's because, like, nothing will ever be perfect. The point is, we're trying.
Yeah.
And I will admit that my father did try in his way, but some of the scars left were no longer like you stopped trying. There's a point where you quit and you just left me to deal with it. If we continued to work through it, it'd have been fine. I think it's also speaks to the fact that, like, when you have multiple generations raising a child, then that means you have all of the healing, like, continuing.
Facts.
And that's just not something that's happened in our communities a lot. What do you think that you're currently doing to acknowledge, own, but then, like, overcome them? And kind of beyond therapy, great, definitely a key piece here, but just, like, tangible, practical things. Because some people, you know, therapy is expensive, okay?
Yeah.
So, like, some people just want to know, like, WTF am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
Because where do I store this baggage? Where do I put this so that way I can actually deal with the rest of my life? But at the same time, you still have to deal with it. So I'm curious to, like, how are you taking responsibility for where you are now and, like, where you're going?
Honestly, I mean, therapy. We love therapy. We're in therapy.
But
if you didn't have therapy, I think it's kind of what I kind of touched on when I went to your house on New Year's. I was like, it's accountability. People in your life that you say, like, hey, that you trust. Don't just talk about all your stuff. Yeah, don't trauma dump.
Not everybody. Yeah.
But be like, hey, I've realized this about myself. I don't like this about myself. And I know that this isn't who I am, but this is my identity right now. So please, like, bring this up to me when I do it, and maybe, like, be like, can you help me flush this out of the root problem? Because sometimes we don't know where it's all stemming from. Like, some things stem from our father, some things stem otherwise. But, like, see where it comes from and then start working on it. And then try to lessening the trigger. But, like, honestly, having those people that you are accountable to that can point out, hey, you're doing this, but in a loving way too, because we don't need people to constantly just, like, nitpick at us and stuff like that.
Or, like, receive it. Because you have to be around some people. It's not going to be everybody in your life, but there has to be at least that one person that when you freak the F out, like, can say, like, oh,
this isn't about me.
Yeah, this isn't about me.
Don't take this personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And say, like, so, you know, when we get some time, let's talk about this thing that you're doing.
But also, like, if I'm open to changing, sometimes something might trigger me that I'm not ready to talk about and change yet.
But that's the accountability.
It's the fact
it's
like,
you are
I'll be back
willing
on
to
that.
receive it enough to like make a note and know that that's something you have to work on.
Yeah.
Versus completely living in denial.
Yeah.
And that's a mature human in my perspective.
Facts.
It's also the honesty piece of that too. It's like
with yourself?
With yourself especially, and also with other people. I think that like we need to, everyone, human beings should all be taking frequent steps back and looking at ourselves and talking to ourselves, because I think it's great to talk to other people. And I agree like with everything you just said, like we need to have support. And like honestly, you two for me are like a huge support, where I can just go and like be like, I need to talk about this right now, and like have someone listen. But I also think like, I mean, call me crazy, I talk to myself all the time. Like I will just sit down and be like, literally, what the fuck is going on? And Julia, literally, what is wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
Literally.
It's like Jason Statham.
Jason Statham.
I messed that up.
That's 7 times. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like people can help us get to the root problem, but at the end of the day, like we know ourselves, and I think a lot of us subconsciously understand why we are the way that we are, and it's a matter of like being able to sit with like the hurt in that. And like when you're doing trauma work, like it hurts, like it's not fun, and it's hard to like look at yourself in the mirror and say, I don't like this about myself, like what you just said. I had one of those moments the other day, and I was just like, I hate this.
I have gave myself the ick,
literally. I mean, as the kids say on the TikTok, I gave myself the ick. Anyways.
The ick.
But yeah, like I think undoing trauma, a lot of it is becoming a friend to yourself. And you can only do that through talking to yourself and like feeling it and being okay with knowing that you're not going to solve that problem right away. Like it's lifelong work, and we all have it. If it's not your daddy, it's someone else. Facts. You know what I mean? So
could be yourself.
I really like what you said there though. Like something that I didn't really acknowledge for a long time, which was that like we all to an extent do know ourselves. There was a period of time where it was like, no we don't. Like I have to live with myself, so I have to like deal with this because I have to live with me. I can't disassociate from this body without like literally saying, okay, I quit. But to acknowledge the fact that like, no, you know yourself enough to know how you got here. You can do this self-work. There is help available, but you can do this because you know what you need to an extent.
Deep down.
Like, you know what you didn't get.
Yeah.
And of course that can backfire at times because we've walked down some lanes that we aren't necessarily proud of if we're looking at the mature version of ourselves now, because we needed a not so extreme version of that sentiment at some point. But at the same time, you can acknowledge like you know yourself enough that you know this is not what you want to be. So we need to start this. Thank you so much for joining me on this. This could have been really messy, real talk, but this was actually really fun.
We kept it PG.
We got through
a little bit of 13,
the muck, the mire, and then also got to like the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. Not intentional, but definitely there. So super excited about it. I hope that you're excited about it too. Hope you enjoyed this. If you are watching us on YouTube, then you get to look at our pretty faces. You can see that all of these beautiful girls here are actually beautiful. You're right.
Young women, little women,
pretty women.
You are. If you are just tuning in, of course, you can listen to us on all the streaming platforms. We're actually posting this via Anchor, so if that's your jam, please check out Anchor. But I do want to say thank you once again to Julia and Lyndä. I hope that I not only have you back for a different conversation, but I hope that we get to enjoy more tea. I'll say cheers to you, your journey, but I will be taking my tea one sip at a time.